Three children burnt to death after their locked house caught fire. No arrests yet in yesterday's Lae Robbery. And PNG's growing homeless numbers in Port Moresby.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
A very good evening to you and thanks for joining me again with Tuesday's news. 3 children between the ages of 2 and 6 were burnt to death in Port Moresby's Burns Peak settlement. The parents are in shock and could not establish the cause of the fire that claimed the life of all their children. The remains of the 3 children were left at the Port Moresby General Hospital morgue. MTV's Quinton Allen reports.
The 3 children were locked up inside a house when the house caught fire and they were burned to death. The parents and the relatives could not confirm how the fire started, but the family spokesman, Martin Londe, told MTV News that the mother locked up the 3 children, 2 girls and a boy, ages 6, 4 and 2 respectively, inside the house. The parents were away from the house when the incident happened. It was reported that a kerosene stove was still alight when the mother locked the door using a chain and left.
Inside and paint, outside too and paint, so time fire kirap, no seconds fire die. Na story also papa blow a bag, na mama blow tari. Tupla married them, first born, second born, third born, ograi been stop. Ograi stop on time mama, ograi stop, na time mama go down. The
fire started around 2:30 yesterday afternoon and completely destroyed the house within 30 minutes. Whatever was collected was left at the Port Moresby General Hospital morgue. Hola Police Station Commander Ben Kua says the mother was chased by angry bystanders to the police station where the incident was reported.
There was one person actually knifed her on the arm and she kept on bleeding. All the clothes were torn off. She just came with a sportswear into the station, so we rescued her and we just locked her for safety. And then this morning we released the husband and other leaders from the Moresby came down, so we released her to the family. So she's not joining the Oscar at Moresby. So.
She was taken back to Moresby settlement this morning, where they are currently mourning the children's death. Police will carry out investigations once the parents recover from the shock. The parents are in need of clothing and basic utensils to restart their life.
Time picking paya and paya want to something. So tupla papa mama want them tupla all relatives. At this very point in time, no got one plus something. Mipla all community law here tasol and mipla look out him all law sell house na mipla. Also need him assistance, anything, all man, pilim sorel, or this like situation only can help him too.
Quinton Alomp, National EMTV News.
Well, soldiers involved in the bashing up of a 17-year-old Jeremiah Uni in Port Moresby in July during the Kila Kila Secondary School's Cultural Festival were rearrested and charged with murder. The new charge was laid on the 7 soldiers after Jeremiah passed away in hospital this month. NCD Metropolitan Superintendent Ben Turi says one of the soldiers escaped when police were laying charges against them yesterday afternoon. His identity is known to police. The 7 soldiers were taken to Bamana this morning. Well, acting Lae Police Boss Chief Inspector Timothy Pomoso says no arrests have been made in relation to yesterday's Lae Market Rama 18 armed robbery. But he has asked the officer in charge of community policing to give a full report on how a female officer was shot in the face. MTV's Bethany Harriman reports.
A policewoman was injured yesterday afternoon during a daring robbery by a group of armed criminals. The policewoman, who was in a vehicle that gave chase, received pellet wounds to her face but avoided serious injuries. Acting Lae Police Boss Chief Inspector Timothy Pomoso says no suspects have been caught and arrested. He has asked the community policing unit to give a report of yesterday's incident. The gang robbed Raumai Wholesale at the market area and later escaped on a boat waiting on the Lae waterfront. It is believed that they made off with an unspecified amount of cash. These pictures taken in early May show a similar style of robbery at the Pelgin store on Malaita Street. That time, the 8-member gang used a PMV bus to get away. Armed robberies continue to plague Lae City. In May alone, 9 robberies. These numbers are likely to have increased. Now, from police sources that have told EMTV, places that were targeted are those that have cash readily available in their tills and stores that sell electronic goods, which are in high demand on the streets. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Lae.
Well, growing numbers of homeless people living on the streets of Port Moresby are becoming more obvious. EMTV's journalist Vasina Tayama visited the area in and around Port Moresby where homeless people reside. She discovered that a large percentage of these homeless people in the capital city are from the Highlands region. During the visit and from interviews, most of them travelled to Port Moresby to access government services where opportunities are provided. Some say they fled their home province because of ethnic clashes. Tonight's EMTV News special report is on the growing number of homelessness people in Port Moresby and aims to shine the light on this growing population and the government's move to intervene in this cause.
Port Moresby, as the capital of Papua New Guinea, attracts people from all walks of life with a whole host of reasons. While the city is the headquarters of government departments and services, it also has the biggest number of people who are homeless and living on the street. Most of the people who EMTV interviewed were from Boroko and Waigani and are visitors who end up on streets. Some moved to the city to secure employment, while for others, it's just an adventure to see the capital city or access the services. Besides, even though Papua New Guineans are proud of the one-talk system, it's declining. There are people who have made the streets of Port Moresby their home. They don't have a proper home or family to stay with. Many are rejected by their own families. They term themselves as homeless people or drifters.
To let good yet non good all boss olikam na all one more man marry we go and walk na non good all pani mibla o se na mibla sa kirab long big morning 5 o'clock mibla sa kirab na misa kirab na ronowego.
The homeless people use cardboard boxes for mattresses. With the fear of having been attacked by opportunists or police, they stay till late and then sleep for at least 2 to 3 hours and wake again at 4 in the mornings to face the day. The homeless consist of a wide range of people from different backgrounds. Some are casual workers, street vendors, and some, especially young boys, pickpockets to survive.
Life number now, mi pasa kerap tani moli one number, working number, mi pasa ksim kage.
On the other side, water and sanitation is a serious problem.
Minogat was, minogat to one shirt close from me teti, mi silip na the street, minogat kai tu, samlata mi gat ligli kai, samlata minogat, drin water so na silip.
According to a food ministry run by an Adventist church in Port Moresby, the number of homeless people increase and decrease because of major events in the capital city, like the recent Pacific Games. This Adventist group supplies cooked food to the homeless.
But churches came up with an initiative to extend the level price to others who live and within Port Moresby, basically targeting the people who are least fortunate in terms of those who are homeless. So
the homeless people sleep in groups in front of shops and offices where there's light. There are about hundreds who also sleep on the streets and pretend to have homes. Vasina Tayama, National EMTV News.
Ousted Police Commissioner Jeffrey Vaki is behind bars at the Boroko police cell. This time he faces another contempt charge after he failed to appear in the National Court. A bench warrant was issued by Justice Gibbs Salika to have him locked up until his court appearance. Last year, he was charged with contempt for preventing a court order for the arrest of Prime Minister Peter O'Neill. NCD Metropolitan Superintendent Ben Turi confirmed his arrest today. Turi says if Vaki's lawyer, Sam Bonner, fails to obtain a bail order, he will be in custody until his court appearance. The district administrator of Usinobundi in Madang has come under attack after a protest by the people turned nasty. The people's cry for relief supplies is not because of the 5-month drought experienced currently, but their cries go far back to the month of March this year when they were hit by heavy rains and floods that buried houses, cars, food gardens and even animals. EMTV's Rachel Shise reports from Madang.
For the people, it's been 8 months of waiting for help since the floods while experiencing the added effects of this 5-month drought.
Plani blolo tromeo stone na stick and double car blomi bata. Car blomix in plani ol bang na ulman oriarimo sem car blomix in people bagarab no sore tru dasol. Eminoga wambla bagarab kamat. Noga wambla glass or wambla sani bruno sota.
1 million kina was promised by the Prime Minister Peter O'Neill when the floods hit the area in March, but 200,000 kina will go to the Madang provincial government. The remaining 800,000 kina will be used for sustainable projects like water supply.
Agree logania and sustainable programs from Blakarimo, but with the current situation and drought and Golombla time, so all do affect us. So like in summer rice, and some lily money we can roast him, we can help more rice to also time.
The flood relief money is already here, but a formal reconciliation ceremony will take place between the people and the administrator before work can resume.
All by come talk sorelo mi past them now. After reconciliation now, there's la money blogo 1 million. Yeah, it's not 1 million. 1 million, 2 million, 200,000 by golo. All disaster area office lo governor. Na 800,000 and mibla by.
Mr. Homisa is now appealing to the national government to be prompt in responding to natural disasters as they are not like other normal operations.
The system up there is maybe too kukambasomna. I'm taking too long. There's like one process where service delivery a hindrance process. Yeah, one example now you looking it took us 8 months to receive that 1 million kilo.
Meanwhile, villages on the outskirts of Madang, even on the border of Madang and Moresby provinces, the drought effects are severe. Gardens are burnt, the rivers have dried up, and the people are shifting their houses to live near the remaining rivers.
San kukimol plan the man marry now moving on down arere wara. There's a wara I'm saving life long all because on top all class Sunday will dry. 20,000 man marry along this plan. Me pa start border plan Madang na Moresby. Moresby kisi helping finish. That's why people aside from Madang, me pa still look. One time that's all punta a heavy one. That's why me pa think was this one rain but continue no kata me come stop work.
The Provincial Disaster Office is sending out a strong warning to not start bushfires as they may catch on other much-needed items and create unnecessary disasters. A total of 1.2 million kina marked for drought reliefs is already here, but the distribution of supplies is yet to kick off. Rachel Shise, National EMTV News, Madang.
People from Barnes in North Wagi Electorate, Jiwaka Province are calling on the Provincial Disaster Office to assess the effects of the dry spell. Today, a group of mothers and children fronted up at the district office with dried sweet potatoes and taro. They were at the government's office since 8 a.m. waiting to have an audience with the district administrator. However, were told that there was no financial assistance from the national government. They are calling on concerned government authorities in the province to go into the villages and assess the situation.
I'm close to me by day now. No got kage longaten. All get a kage pinis. Kawon dry, taro, na banana, or one standing stop longaten, all get a pinis.
This petition you can forward. Enough government can look away. Miss Hours and government looks away over a frost affected people. Now Narbla in disaster. But sun, got big play effect. Cooking over a garden, over a kaikai, drive water. One of can survival from Mibla and my son in drive now. Since dry season start, I'm come up now, I'm close to 5 months. People are not at home.
Well, former parliamentarian, the late John Jaminan, farewelled. Also, feasibility studies on a new hydro project and demand for cocoa increases. We'll bring you those stories and more after this break. Stay with us. To National EMTV News. One of the country's pioneer politicians and leader, John Jaminan, was farewelled this afternoon in Port Moresby. Former Prime Minister Pius Wingti, Trade Minister Richard Maru and Prime Minister Peter O'Neill joined the Jaminan family and friends at the St. Joseph's Catholic Church to pay their last respects. Mr. Jaminan was the first MP for Yanguru Sausia and during his political career held key portfolios. He passed away late last month and is survived by his wife, 3 sons, a daughter, 9 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild. His body will be flown to Wewak tomorrow, where he will be laid to rest in his home village in West Yanguru. Well, key stakeholders of the Lae Brown Hydro project met at a workshop today to get an update on progress. The Lae Brown Hydro project is expected to give another 8 megawatts into the Port Moresby system. The workshop gave updates on the progress of the feasibility studies done so far.
In 2010, PNG Power embarked on a detailed feasibility study into the Lae Brown Hydro scheme in the Mount Koyari area in the Central Province. The study was in line with the company's power development plan to increase Port Moresby's current generation capacity and improve system reliability. Landowners, government departments, the World Bank and other stakeholders were present today to hear the outcome of that study.
The project started was mainly due to our load growth, the demand rate in Port Moresby. We were experiencing shortfalls in our current generation capacities.
The landowners gave their position, saying they were happy about the project, but added they want to be part of decision-making, especially when it comes to their welfare. Lae Brown Hydro Project Manager Francis Uratun said an information and communication strategy is being developed to ensure consistent dialogue between all parties at all stages of the project.
Everybody from the catchment, especially the Mountain Koyari people, to give their views, their opinions, how best we should develop the project, how best they should participate in the project. And with this exercise, we are giving them the roadmap. This same exercise, whatever comes out from this workshop, will be used throughout Papua New Guinea in any future hydropower development project in the country.
If it goes ahead, the Lae Brown Hydro Project will be the country's biggest hydro project, bigger than Sirinumu and Yonki. Mr. Uratun said the Lae Brown Hydro Project is expected to be out on tender in December 2016 before development will commence. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
An agronomist with the National Agriculture Research Institute says the concept of Papua New Guinea having a drought-resistant crop has been misunderstood. NARI agricultural science expert James Ernest says although PNG has drought-tolerant crops, they cannot survive after prolonged dry weather. His comments come after locals debated the possibilities of PNG having a drought-resistant crop.
The debate over drought-resistant crops has been put to the test in this dry weather. The effects of the prolonged dry season are slowly crippling cash crops and garden produce in the central and Gulf provinces. Plants like taro, banana and yam that were planted about 4 months ago are producing less, with some starting to die.
Not only food, water is equally very important.
James Ernest, a NARI agronomist, says simple measures like smoking and salting food are important to make food supplies last for longer periods.
People have the misconception that there's a drought-resistant crop. Unfortunately, I must say that we don't have any drought-resistant crop. We do have drought-tolerant crop, but to a certain extent. For El Nino drought, where
dry period more than 8 months, it's very, very difficult for it to even to grow those drought tolerant crop without water.
In a separate interview, Gulf local Simon Kedolo said 4 women died last fortnight because of food shortage in Gulf, sparking a public appeal to concerned authorities to assist people with food supplies.
Nada meria em san itimim igonta lo monte na san kukimem lo hia na no adwara. Em pundan na sirib lo road side na ulo go sekimim ya deslape em blacky ko san kuki.
But for the central farmers, agronomist Ernest advises locals to preserve both food and planting materials because the dry weather is predicted to last for at least 5 more months.
I'm sure if you can get your planting materials like sweet potato vines or taro suckers or banana suckers, Ibica planting materials, you look for where there's streams or where there's moisture in the bush somewhere, keep them there until the return of the rain so that you can easily go back and get those planting materials.
Taklak Gunga, National EMTV News.
The largest cocoa exporter in PNG, Agmark, has indicated an increase in the demand for PNG cocoa in the world market. Agmark says PNG cocoa market needs additional tons to meet the export demands amounting to about 30,000 tons every year. The PNG cocoa industry, however, has fallen into a recession since 2006 after the cocoa pod borer disease slashed the total export by half. NTV's Edwin Fidelis reports.
At the Agmark cocoa processing facility at Talina in Kokopo, the cocoa mills are still functioning. Several hundreds of cocoa bags are processed and graded every day before they are stored away in this warehouse ready for export. It is the largest cocoa processing facility in PNG, exporting over 30,000 tons of cocoa every year. But in recent years, that figure has dropped significantly after the infestation of the cocoa pod borer disease brought the cocoa industry to a grinding halt.
In the pre-CPB days, we would be expecting to export between 25,000 and over 30,000 tons per year exported. In recent years, it's since 2008 really, it's just gradually that's fallen back to where we are now looking at less, or around 15,000 tons export per year.
Currently, a dry bean cocoa bag produced by a smallholder farmer can fetch up to 480 kina. Before the incursion of the cocoa disease, PNG cocoa export fetched up to 200 million kina per year, but that amount has now dropped.
The forecast, the demand overseas is, just too much. We just can't meet their orders. We are not even halfway meeting their orders, but our quality is good.
Cocoa is part of the culture in East New Britain and other regions in Papua New Guinea where it is seen as the main income source. Many farmers are reluctant to leave their cocoa blocks behind because of the CPB, but they said they need more support.
You know what, Edwin, we come inside Palma.
In the pre-CPB days, smallholder cocoa growers contributed about 60% of the total cocoa to this facility.
Planti oli sa convertim cacao blong oli go dry bean. Then oli salim beker lo company.
Analysts say if PNG is to meet its cocoa export demands, buyers must have a guaranteed price at the local market to attract more farmers to grow and sell cocoa. What is also needed are new cocoa farming methods to help rejuvenate old plantations owned by smallholder cocoa farmers who, for the most part, have given up hope in farming the commodity. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
Well, Oil Search has recorded a 3% revenue decline in the third quarter for 2015. This despite the company recording its highest quarterly production. The results released to the market today reflect the effects of the continuous drop in oil prices on companies within the extractive industry.
According to Oil Search Managing Director Peter Botten, the third quarter production of 7.42 million barrels of oil equivalent was the highest quarterly production ever achieved by the company, being marginally higher than the record production reached last quarter. This, he says, reflects the continued strong production from both the PNG LNG project and from the operated oil fields. Q3 has been an eventful period for Oil Search, with the company recently rejecting an acquisition bid from Australian energy giant Woodside. In September, Oil Search received a non-binding, conditional indicative all-scrip proposal from Woodside Petroleum, under which Woodside would acquire all the shares in Oil Search for a consideration of 1 Woodside share for every 4 Oil Search shares. The Oil Search board unanimously rejected the approach. Oil Search has also implemented a number of changes to its organizational structure to ensure that it remains competitive during current low world oil prices. Merabatulo, National EMTV News.
And now let's take a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3455 in the interbank market today, and at Bank South Pacific, our kina was trading at $0.3380 $0.4628 Australian dollars, $0.2949 euro, and 40.05 Japanese yen. Taking a look at commodity prices at New York close today, gold, coffee and cocoa closed higher, while copper closed the day lower. Palm oil, copper and crude oil all closed the day lower. And finally, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 15 points higher, the ASX closed at 1 point lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 7 points higher. Well, plenty more national EMTV news tonight. Air New Guinea acquires 9 more aircrafts, and NRI says more planning is needed for a growing population. Stay with us for those stories and more. Welcome back to the news. Acting Governor General Theo Zurinuo has signed on behalf of the state a multi-million kina project for the long-term maintenance of the Yalibu to Kagwa Road in Southern Islands Province. The contract is valued at over 80 million kina and will be jointly funded by the state and the Asian Development Bank. The contract is for the improvements works and long-term performance-based maintenance for the 31.8 kilometre road from Yalibu to Kagwa. The contract was awarded to Kovac China Limited. Company representatives signed the contract, witnessed by Secretary of Department of Works David Were at the Government's House today. Strategic planning is needed for infrastructure development in PNG. Director of the National Research Institute, Dr. Charles Yala, said this in an interview with EMTV News today. Dr. Yala said with every development the country is undertaking, the national government should plan and, more importantly, consider the country's increasing population and economy. EMTV Stanley Arvid Jr. with this report.
A recently launched road management reform paper by the National Research Institute has revealed that there is a great need for proper planning of all infrastructure development in the country.
So the big question we have here as a research institute, and a research question is, how are national infrastructures formulated or scoped, planned and implemented, and then maintained over time.
Dr. Yala explained that with the country's increasing population, planning should be the government's main objective when delivering its services. In particular, Dr. Yala discussed the planning of all road networks in the country.
The challenge is not to build roads that lead to nowhere, but put roads that will bring in more. For example, for every 1 kina spent on a road, we must be able to make more than 1 kina.
Strategic road planning is important. As Dr. Yala said, roads must be built to create economic opportunities. This will not only give access to services, but will cut down on costs to the national government. Dr. Yala said the future of the country now depends heavily on investments, and investing in proper roads will benefit the economy.
We don't have to think about too many roads. What I'm saying is we think about few strategic roads that strategically connect this country and exploit the complementary with the ports and with the airport connection. So there must be an airport here, there must be a port there, there must be a strategic road that connects it up.
Stanley Over Jr., National EMTV News.
National flag carrier Air Niugini has acquired 9 more Fokker 70 aircrafts to fly domestic and international routes. Air Niugini says the acquisition is part of its refleeting exercise that will replace the existing Dash 8 Q400 fleet. Fabian Akalits reports.
The first Fokker 70 commercial flight to Mount Hagen, Western Highlands Province, marked a significant expansion of jet aircraft operation on major domestic routes and beginning of the refleeting project. Air Niugini is acquiring 9 Fokker 70 aircraft by 2017, the first F-70 in April this year, the second this month, and third to arrive by December. Board Chairman Sir Frederick Raya and Chief Executive Officer Simon Fu were in Amsterdam, Netherlands, meeting with KLM Hopper, management of current Fokker 70 operators. They also met with Fokker Services Management to discuss long-term support of the Fokker 70-100 Air Niugini operations. In a statement by Corporate Affairs Department, Sir Frederick said the airline believes Fokker 70 aircrafts perfectly suits the PNG market due to performance and operating economics. The better range F-70 will provide more opportunities to improve and expand services to the regional South Pacific countries. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Memafu Kapera's 4-year contract as Managing Director for the National Broadcasting Corporation has come to an end. A week after the official end to his contract, Kapera says he has 3 more months left with NBC before a reappointment can commence. However, he has also put his hand up to be reappointed Managing Director.
At a press conference today at the NBC headquarters, Memafu Kapera said he has indicated his interest to continue in the role.
As part of the process of appointment, I've expressed my interest to continue because there's a lot to be done. I've actually rebuilt this organization from 2010 up until now.
Mr. Kapera said while his contract has officially ended, he has some time left with the government media organization.
I've got 3 months to wait for a acting or a substantive appointment to be made.
NBC has struggled over the years with its operations, and Mr. Kapera highlighted the roles and responsibilities of the management and the board as an issue.
I know we have issues here at the NBC at the board level with the management, but it's about working together. The board concentrating on policy and strategic direction, and the management taking care of operations. So.
With the launch of its new look, Mr. Kapera says it's a start of good things to come for the organization, especially financially.
Right now, we're generating 1 million kina in 1 month, and we're moving forward. It's achievements that we thought we'd never achieve.
Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
Well, more than 500 village court officials in Wabeg, Enga province, have received support from the Wabeg District Development Authority. They have received new uniforms and monthly allowances. These were launched by Wabeg MP Robert Ganim and Enga Governor Sir Peter Patas last Friday in Wabeg.
Village court officials in Wabeg have been given a sense of identity and respect through a decision made by the Wabeg District Development Authority. More than 500 officials can perform their duties with pride. Their uniforms were launched last Friday in Wabeg town. The district has also supported officials with monthly allowances since 2012, an area which the member for Wabeg, Robert Ganim, has supported since taking office.
Plenty working so long, place long, solving all problem in a problem long all. But straight in line, so we're looking more working plenty work solving the problem. So maybe more long. Give uniform or some form of identity belong.
The district also has a law and order committee which supports police in the district tackle law and order problems, especially tribal fights and related problems. The member says the district will continue to pay monthly allowances in addition to what the national government is paying village court officials.
All trouble fight even start long. Inshallah Wabeg, this block committee long. Wabeg district, whatever long all police,
long Wabek, even go down long all village level na talk one time online na I think two blow triple fight like start inside long Wabek and the committee working good work mipla district get mipla support them all.
The district made another payment last Friday for new sets of uniforms. Mr. Ganim said this is to encourage officials in their duties and for the public to have some sort of respect for the people carrying out their duties. Enga Governor Sep Peter Ipatas commended Wabek DDA for taking this initiative and thanked the national government for recognizing the people at the district and village level.
Government play me, people government now come to level play you, thinking you, sample man must start na sending policy block country. Before you throw my money, Lord, can something. Now you throw my money, Lord, legally something.
Michelle Amba, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
Well, since 2000, non-governmental organizations have emerged in the Pacific to voice and improve the manner in which women and girls are treated in communities. While some focus on increasing women's economic opportunities, others focus on self-development. Soroptimist International is one such organization which focuses on giving women a formal education.
Formal education and self-empowerment for women are just two areas Soroptimist International is engaged in, providing women an opportunity to develop themselves as individuals. The international organization targets women in suburban areas who are passionate about becoming independent and supports them financially through educational institutions.
It's focusing mostly on education, so we have and we are still putting through young girls through high school, and we go to settlements and find women that actually need help and want to be independent. We interview them and we shortlist them and try to find courses, etc., where we can help them gain life skills, for example. It might be something as simple as cooking skills.
Soroptimist International, Papua New Guinea, has over 70 women members who meet once a month and discuss how best they can achieve equal opportunities for women and girls in the economic, social or education sectors. Since its establishment in PNG, the organization was focused on primary and secondary education. However, SI is planning on supporting women and girls through tertiary education come 2016.
So next year, the focus is still education, so we'll be looking at more girls that we can put through high school, but we're also looking at working through and putting girls through tertiary education. So that's a lot of funding. But our long-term plans is we're looking at building a training and resource centre. So all the funds we are putting aside, because it is a huge investment, because it's a real estate investment.
Takla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Well, National EMTV News continues with Trukai Sports. That's coming up next, and we'll have rugby, athletics and surfing stories. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Thanks for joining me with Trukai Sports. Well, more than 2 million people have now attended matches at the England 2015 Rugby World Cup following a thrilling weekend of quarter-finals action. The matches won by South Africa and Scotland were held at Twickenham, while the other two took place at Cardiff's Millennium Stadium, with a combined attendance of over 300,000 across the 4 games. This pushed the tournament total over the 2 million mark, and more than 60,000 fans watched quarter-final matches in designated fan zones. Both semi-finals are due to take place at Twickenham, with South Africa facing New Zealand on Saturday at 4 p.m. before Argentina takes on Australia at the same time the following day. Well, Papua New Guinea's fastest growing beverage company today demonstrated its support for the Papua New Guinea Athletics Union Funding totaling 2,500 kina will go towards up-and-coming Southern Regional Championships. EMTV's Rafaela Kaure reports.
After the recent successful Southern Regional Championship in the nation's capital, Coca-Cola came on board in sponsoring the Athletics Union in a form of check presentation. Athletics Development Officer Monica Henao was on hand to receive the check on behalf of the Athletics Union. The funding will go towards the Papua New Guinea Athletics Union to provide and create pathways for young and upcoming athletes in the country.
Because of the success of the Pacific Games and Athletics PNG, then turning around and supporting their sport at school level. And we thought it was a good way for CCA, Coca-Cola PNG, to support this very important area in sports, important area in developing our young people.
PNG Athletics Union is also planning on providing school-based competitions next year and is hoping to have a continuous partnership with Coca-Cola for future events.
The purpose of our championships is to raise the awareness after the Pacific Games with the successful of team athletics. We want to continue the code by going into schools, and we want to thank Coca-Cola for the support. And in the years to come, in 2016, we already have a calendar in place for the schools program.
With the Athletics Union based in Kokopo, the union is planning on extending to other parts of the country, as well as hosting other track and field regional championships. Rafaela Kaure, National EMTV Sports.
The Papua New Guinea Surfing Association is focused on taking surfing in Papua New Guinea to another level in terms of developing the code and using it as the ideal tool for tourism industry developments in PNG. In the eyes of the modern world, many still consider PNG to be relatively ancient by virtue of contrasting landscapes, its people and traditional customs.
With regard to surfing in PNG, the Surfing Association PNG is working to surpass current expectations and are at the cutting edge with a new world approach to ensuring an equitable and sustainable foundation for the sport in the country. Surfing resource is developed and managed for collectible benefit of its traditional resource custodians and SA-PNG affiliated surf clubs and commercial operators. Working together, the SA-PNG with surf industry, tourism operators and traditional reef custodians have developed a unique and truly memorable PNG surfing experience. And most notable are the surfing sports around the country, such as the Curlis and Rubio in New Island Province, Ulingen Bay in Medang and Lido in Sundown Province. The vast majority of PNG's land ownership is under traditional customary clans. For coastal communities, this extends to traditional and custodial rights all the way out to the reef fringes. Shane Soroya, National EMTV Sports.
Well, Trukai Sports continues after the break. PNG Weightlifting Federation extends an olive branch to Stephen Curry. Details of that story when we come back.
Trukai Sports.
Good to have you back with Trukai Sports. The PNG Weightlifting Federation for the first time spoke about Stephen Curry's disappearance from the code of weightlifting. Vice President of Weightlifting Frank Robbie explained to the media their efforts in retaining PNG's Commonwealth gold medalist. EMTV's Lorraine Genia with this report.
The Vice President of the National Weightlifting Federation, Frank Robin, showed a mass of emotion when explaining the reason behind Stephen Curry's exclusion to the national weightlifting contingent.
And I said, son, we want you to come back. Right in front of me, he said, no, I don't want to go back. That's it. And the person who decides on the team is me, the selected chairman. So I have removed his name.
Given his uncertainty in the Federation, Lakani Owala confirmed the Executive Committee's stance on Stephen Curry's return as an athlete. President of the Weightlifting Federation, Sir John Dewanikura, said the Federation would continue with its plans on developing athletes to attend international events, and the opportunity for Stephen Curry to be a part of the team remains. While the National Federation has confirmed 3 weightlifters to represent Papua New Guinea at the 2016 Olympics, they could not comment on whether Stephen Curry would be one of the 3 that travels to Rio next year. Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
Well, True Guy Sports wraps up on that note. Stay tuned. We have your weather details. That's coming up after this break.
True Guy Sports. True Guy Sports.
At the weather forecast for the next 24 hours, in southern region, all centres relatively fine weather. In Moresby, same thing, all centres to look forward to relatively fine weather. In the New Guinea Islands, all centres to look forward to fine and dry weather. And lastly, in the Islands region, mostly fine and dry expected in Goroka and Kundiawa. And now let's take a quick recap of our main stories tonight before we go. 3 children burnt to death after their locked house caught fire. Also, no arrests made yet in yesterday's Lae Robbery. And PNG's growing homeless numbers in Port Moresby. And that's how we wrap up the bulletin tonight. From the news crew, I'm Tokana Asavi Jr. As always, thanks for your company. You take care and stay happy. Good night.